So Dan, I asked you if there's any empirical evidence for another universe. I take it your answer is no, because you come back with 101 prisoners and you say we do know, but then you state things. Do you know what came before the Big Bang?
Well, then let me ask you.
No, answer my question. You don't know. No one knows.
Yes, but we do know that there was a before. We do know that Planck minimum was in a quantum state of uncertainty existing already in some state. And it is perfectly sensible to think that if that happened and where did that come from, that it was a part of an infinite series perhaps or whatever. But in the same sense, I would ask you, did Thor exist? That was a big gap in their understanding. Do you think Thor actually existed?
No.
Well, then that gap is closed and but at the time that they came up with Thor, that made sense to them, didn't it? They plugged that gap with their idea.
Right.
Are you now telling us that science has come to an end? We will never have any more answers to these questions, in spite of the history of the success of science in closing these gaps repeatedly?
No, but I'm of course not. Look, Aristotle thought that our mental work was not done in the brain but in the heart. So he was wrong about that. There have been a lot of mistakes in the past. Science does develop. I'm not objecting to the progress of science. I'm objecting to you using what can be called the atheism of the gaps, which is to say when you come across something that's unexplained, you assume ultimately an atheist explanation for it. You said we do know what came before the Big Bang. And I think that statement in a way shows how wrong you are about this whole thing, because before the Big Bang there was no before. If space and time are properties of our universe, the term before only applies to our universe. There was no before, Dan.
Exactly, except our universe that we live in is only one of potentially many. So when you talk about the universe, we're using, in the last 30 or 40 years, philosophers and scientists have changed their usage of the word universe. They now use cosmos for the entire realm of existence. The one universe that you're talking about, the one we happen to inhabit from the Big Bang that we came from, actually goes back to a point that was not a singularity. It goes back to a point where there was already quantum potential sitting there. Just as you know that matter comes out of empty space, the beginning of our universe, we don't know what was before, but we do know that it is perfectly consistent to assume that state had a pre-existing, it was not the beginning of space and time in the cosmos, it was the beginning of space and time in our local universe. So you're confusing universe and cosmos. The cosmos is indeed eternal.
Well, you began by saying it is one universe of many. You state it as a fact. Now, here in your book, Godless, you say that you're a man of reason. You say that you don't adopt positions in the absence of evidence.
I say that I try.
You try. Well, you're failing right now, because at the end of your own statement, you said the words, it is consistent to assume. Consistent to assume means we don't know, but we're just guessing, and it may work out this way, but you started out saying you do know. So here's my point.
I didn't say I do know.
My point is, you're accusing me of having positions based on faith and not adopting evidence. I've tried to stay within the parameters of evidence. I haven't appealed to scripture or revelation. I've relied on history and philosophy and science. And I think what I'm showing is that you're playing fast and loose with the facts